Hey everybody, Omar here with my friend Jum, founder of Jumpstart Communications, director at Fusion Graduate Consultancy. I'm smiling because it's taken me a little while to get that. Mate, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure, I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, awesome. So we were going a little bit back and forth about what the right areas were to talk about, and sincerely, you've got so many different interesting angles that we're going to go through. We were just talking though about your wedding. You're getting married in 2 weeks.
2 weeks today, so it's very exciting, albeit a little bit daunting with everything that needs to be done in the next 2 weeks, but really pumped.
So let's start there, and I expect you're an ex-TV professional, right? So we'll get to that as well. So you can like lead this conversation and take it into good places, I'm sure. Let's start. You're getting married, there is a lot going on, you're heavily involved in 2 businesses, you're trying to get everything sorted for the wedding, you're going back to the family farm, which is another state to do it. There's a lot going on. How do you balance all that stuff? How are you managing this mentally?
I guess it's a bit of a like learning on the job, but it's so important to find that balance and find what works for me individually and also my partner. I'm really lucky in Sage and the person that she is and how supportive she is. So it, first and foremost is our happiness there, but working hard on 2 businesses, as you said, is brings its own challenges. So, we try and keep within that routine, which I think is really important for us, because, if we can go for that walk in the morning at, when the alarm goes off at 6 and make sure we get that exercise in first thing in the morning, I know that I'm going to have a better day because of that. I'm more switched on, ready to go when I do hit the computer at 8 or whenever that is, ready to go. But it's also finding that time to chat and be there for the stress and anxiety that comes with not only work but this the wedding prep that is there. We're really fortunate. We've got really supportive families as well, so they're supporting us and taking some of the load there, and I guess that communication piece is really important, just to keep everyone on the same page and where we're up to and where we need help, and just to share our concerns or our stresses as well. So that's been a big thing, but trying to keep into a routine is something that works for me.
Yeah, cool. So in regards to routine, how have you gone about figuring out a good routine for yourself, or does it change up? Elaborate.
It's hard, isn't it? I think it's always something you're always trying to develop, and probably needs to change depending on your circumstances or what's going on. For me, it's a big thing around, I need to do exercise in the morning. So whether that's just a walk for even 20 minutes getting outside, but normally 45 minutes, and then also switching off at night. We've probably only done this in the last 12 months, which has been a big thing for us. But no technology in the bedroom, so it's nice. Charging everything out into the living room or into the kitchen, and when you do go in there, that's time to either chat or sleep or read or whatever you want to do, and that has been a massive thing in the last 12 months. And I think it's so important to separate those two, and sometimes it's put that down. It's not the first thing you look at in the morning, and it's not the last thing you look at night. So it's having that connection there. But routine, I think, finding that constant where you can, and knowing your hours, and not sitting up till 11 o'clock at night. At times, yes, that you have to do it, but you need to have that balance, or else that burnout is so possible.
Yeah, no doubt. So staying on the relationship side of things, Sage is an entrepreneur herself. She's been doing amazing work. Maybe you can talk to me a little bit about how is it that you guys have helped each other out? What things have you done on purpose? What things have happened by osmosis in terms of being a really supportive relationship where you can each do your things and have a really strong relationship and also pursue your professional goals? The reason why I ask, a lot of the people who will watch this and a lot of the people engaged in the broader Ferment community, you've got this constant tension. I've got big professional goals and I'm ambitious and I'm driven, and the narrative is you can't have it all. You guys got a fantastic relationship. You're both doing incredibly well. Yeah, what are some of the lessons and insights you can share with us?
I think, Sage and I have been together for a number of years, but we both started our businesses prior to coming together, and I think for both of us, it's been the most positive impact on that, because we've found that we can support each other, we understand it, and we know that days are going to be challenging, days are going to be long, and there's going to be things that really stress us out. But to have that constant sounding board there has been really important. And I think I'm a better professionally because I have that. Yeah. And I think if you can surround yourself with the people that are building you up and are there for you and can be that sounding board, I think you feel much more relaxed and calm because you've got that. I think you sort of start to become the people that you surround yourself with. Yeah. And if they are that positive, building you up, supporting you, it's really important. And I'm fortunate to have that both with my partner Sage, but also my friends and my family, who are, I know that are there for me. If I do pick up the phone, they are willing to sort of listen to me and hear me out. And that's been really important.
Do you have any, I'll say, rules or rituals or habits that you have put in place to help you get that balance right, or is it sort of just things come up, we know things come up, and we deal with it as they come?
We do it in terms of a few little, probably not talked about rules that we do, but that we know that time in the morning and first thing in the morning and last thing at night is time for us, where we can talk about our days, what's coming up, or how our day went, and that time is really put aside for that sort of deep connection conversation. Yeah. Because you do need to talk about these things, and the communication piece is so important. So you do need to at some stage find that balance to actually talk about it and get it out there and put all your cards on the table. Sort of that no secret sort of piece is really important. But again, it needs to be organic and real and authentic, and I think that's really important.
So you talked about communications a little bit. You're a communications expert. I know you probably won't describe that yourself, but you have to be, right? But tell us a little bit about your professional career, where it started, where it's gone. Jumpstart Communications, you can sort of talk a little bit more about, but it's about how is it that you can, as a graduate, get a head start by learning how to communicate, and I really don't like the term soft skills, but I know it's centered around those
transferable
types of
skills
things.
is
much better word for it, isn't it? So tell me a little bit about that, and what are some of the key lessons about the way your career has evolved?
Yeah, I guess I've got a little bit of a different career in terms of where I am now to probably where I saw myself 10 years ago when I guess was starting out. I'm from the country, so grew up on a farm where my family still are. It's a very special place for us, and that's where we're actually getting married in a couple of weeks. So that's still home for me. But came to Melbourne. Actually went to boarding school down here for a couple of years, and then went on and studied media and communications, just out at Deakin. With the dream to always actually work in TV. The dream was to work on Getaway and travel the world, and that dream gig. Or my other real interest was working with children. I loved children's TV, and I wanted to sort of I've always loved working with young people. I then, by chance, fell into news. So I started with Channel 7 here for a little while, doing in the sports team there, and had a great mentor there in Leith Mulligan. And then I moved to Channel 9 or Win News in South Australia for a number of years, and had mixed experience, which probably made me fall out of love with the media a fair bit, just the way people get treated, and I had some really bad experiences in terms of that, which really affected me as a person, and how I was showing up and who I was, and it sort of made me step away from that and think, is this actually what I really want? So I left Win over there, and I actually headed over to London for a couple of years, where I did a bit more freelancing in the media, mainly because I think it was all I knew. I'd been working in the media for four or so years in Australia, and I thought, well, it's all I know, maybe it'll be different over here. So I did some freelance for a couple of different stations over there, BT Sport and Sky News and things like that. So did that for a couple of years, and then I was at a school doing a story, and I was trying to speak to some of the young people, or the 15, 16-year-olds, and we went to have a conversation, and even when the cameras were off, these young people couldn't hold a conversation, or couldn't look at me in the eyes and tell me what their name was, or what they loved doing, or anything like that. And to me, that was sort of a trigger moment to say, what's going on here? Like, these young people should be full of energy and full of drive, and excited to talk about themselves, or what they love, or their passions and everything. And so I did a lot more research into that space, spoke to heaps of CEOs, business owners, directors of businesses right across Australia and the UK, and asked them, what are these young people prepared for the workplace when they come in? And it was a resounding no. They had great technical ability, but they were really lacking in those key transferable skills. Talking about communication skills, talking about interpersonal skills, talking about understanding their brand and being authentic and things like that. So I did more research into the school curriculum, and that hasn't changed for 100 years. And the digital revolution has brought with it unprecedented opportunity, and opened up so many different paths and avenues across the world, but it's also been so detrimental to these key skills that young people need for both success, but also for their well-being. And that is that communication and these transferable skills. So I saw that nobody was doing that in Australia, and I thought, well, I love working with young people. This is something that I'm really passionate about. I grew up where we were always outside. It wasn't TV, wasn't Game Boys or Nintendos or anything like that. Yeah. It was always communication around the dinner table and things like that. And the way the world was going, I think some of these skills were being lost, and the school or at home wasn't picking up the slack. So I thought, well, why can't I do that? So I started Jumpstart Communications around 5 years ago, and we work with young people, primary, secondary schools, universities, some businesses, and we go in and run programs to develop those key transferable skills. Really interactive programs, really customised to their needs and their wants, but just to build up the confidence and make sure it's authentic communication. When we're not asking them to get up in front of thousands of people and present, we're asking them to look you in the eyes, firm handshake, and really be passionate about what they're talking about. And so I absolutely love doing that. And then I was approached by my two business partners in David and Paula at Fusion Graduate Consultancy, as they knew what I was doing in that space, and jumped over and now sort of run both hand in hand. And Fusion is an outsourced partner for the recruitment and development of graduates. So just specifically the graduate market, we work right across Australia in the attraction, recruitment and development. I head up the development team, but a range of different organisations, different size programs, so everything Amazing. Development.
So much in that. I want to go back, not right now, but we're going to go back to how did you get your first gig with Channel 7, because there's a lot in that, a lot of practical stuff, I'm sure. But as you started to talk about this work that you do with young people around transferable skills, like clearly you are passionate about it, like you light up. How did you learn about that passion? How did you know? How did you tap into that is indeed your passion area? Like, tell me a bit about
that. I guess I've always loved working with young people, and I've known that. I've talked about younger. I would have loved to be a paediatrician,
right?
But maybe you need a bit more brains or something for that technical skill. So I knew that from early on. I was always felt comfortable around working with young people, and I just saw the real need for it. Like it's such an important skill to be able to just pick up the phone and talk to someone, or have a conversation. And I saw it as a really sort of dying skill. It's the phone's become an extension of the hand. And it's almost possible for a young person to live entirely in a virtual world by the time they chat in chat rooms all day, game all day, get their food delivered to their door, and by the end of the day they haven't actually communicated with anyone. But for them to be successful, they need these skills. It doesn't matter what role you're going to, what organisation, whether you're in the IT department or you're in face-to-face with customers, you need to be able to communicate.
Yeah.
And that's for success, but what about the impact it has on well-being?
Totally.
And I knew it needed to change. And, you're not taught these skills at school. And if they're not being taught at school, and then by the time they get home and these conversations aren't being had at home, we're not setting these young people up for success.
Yeah.
Because human connection is so important. And, people crave it.
Yeah.
And we're always going to crave it. It doesn't matter what technology comes in. We're still going to want that human connection. And people need to be able to understand themselves, but also understand others and the impact they can have.
So, with all of that, can you maybe give us 2 or 3 really practical pieces of advice, practical tips that you think is almost applicable to everybody in developing some of those skills? As I sort the dog out.
Well, communication being key. I think communication interpersonal skills will set you up, and with that comes, your own ability to understand yourself and where maybe some of your strengths are, but some of those development areas that are required to build up, whether that be, your ability to actively listen, to show empathy, to lead with empathy. I think is a huge one that a lot of people are sometimes missing.
Sure.
That ability to understand others and how they might be feeling and why they might be feeling like that, to be able to read a room and things is really key. But communication skills, verbal communication skills, everything that goes with that. So volume, tone, the words you actually choose to use, like non-verbal cues too. Your body positioning, your body language. What's it actually saying about you? And are you being approachable? Have you got a big smile on your face? Are you standing up nice and proud and tall and open to show that you are positive and you are open to that interaction is something that's really important. And we try to develop these skills, and we understand that it doesn't happen overnight, but if you can start to switch that into your mindset and have that growth mindset around these skills are going to be key, it's a really good starting point.
Is there one thing, so around that being approachable side of things, is there one thing that you think, if you do nothing else, if you do this one thing, it's going to really help your presence? Is there something that comes to mind?
I think it's, I guess you could go down a lot of paths, but I think it's about just being true to yourself and being authentic. People know when you're faking it. Yeah. So just be you. Be you. Yeah. And I think that's all we're asking them to do. Sure. It's just show that you are who you are, but show some vulnerability and be open and open to trying new things and speaking to new people. And it's like anything, it's like a muscle that needs to be grown and developed and practiced, and if you continue to practice it just in even short bursts, you're going to get better at it.
Yeah. Love that. That's gold. Cool. So let's talk a little bit about health and fitness and the physical side of things. Do you have a routine in that world? Does it just, I know you talked about your walks in the morning and you do your exercise in the morning. How's that come to be? How important is it to you?
I guess we've done a little bit more recently with trying to shred for this this wedding.
You won't regret it. You won't regret it.
But yeah, sport's always been a massive thing for me, and I think it's so important for that sort of overall balance and well-being. It's a great escape from the day to day. So as simple as whether it's put your headphones in and listen to some music and go for a walk or a slow jog in my case. Or whether it is, I love playing team sport, or whether it is playing a bit of cricket or something on one afternoon after work. It's been really important to sort of, do that with one of my really good mates and his mates from work, and that's that interaction that everyone craves as well. But it's also a bit of fun.
It's good playing the part.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing.
Yeah, in some little competition. So it's great, and I think that fresh air and that getting out there. You're always going to feel better afterwards. Yeah. You might not feel like doing it at the start, but the impact it has on your body and your mind is so powerful. So we try and start our day with some kind of exercise or some kind of walk. As I think it really sets us up for the day. But back at uni, I actually worked as a personal trainer for throughout uni. So that was also a great sort of tool to have in the back of your mind. But yeah, rugby, athletics at school were big for me, and it's given me opportunities to travel the world and do those as well. So really has always been a big thing for us, and we started that way back when we were juniors playing a range of different sports at home too.
What about nutrition? How good are you with nutrition? How purposeful are you with nutrition?
Yeah, no, we try to eat very healthy.
Yeah.
There are going to be those days where we crave that pizza or that burger or something, and that balance is there as well. But yeah, no, cautious of that. And whether it is just the meat and 3 veg or something, I think that's important. Because you're only going to have the output by the energy you put in your body. And I think if you can put the right fuels in your body, then you are going to be a better and happier person. And these days, your days are long,
sure.
and you need to be able to set yourself up for as much success as you can, whether it be at breakfast or whether it be what you're eating throughout the day. Both, we don't want to crash in that afternoon by having something rotten for lunch. So it is, it's important to be cautious, not overly cautious, but to understand that what you put into your body, does have an impact on your productivity or your mental capacity and things like that. So I am cautious of that, especially if I'm facilitating it in a day, and that cautious of that when those energy drops might come. But coffee, we'll drink coffee, we'll have a drink, we'll have a good glass of red or a few beers with mates, and that balance is something I think it's right across life, whether it be the health and how we eat, or whether it be that fitness piece. Having that balance will probably make you better overall. But that balance needs to be there as well. You need to be able to enjoy yourself and have that cheat day
every now and again. So this is the last thing that I want to try and tap into now, coming from what you've just talked about. So it seems to me like you've got this really clear understanding in your head of, in order for me to do the things that I would like to do, I then need to do all of these other things to enable that. It's quite a strong, powerful, I say mature mindset, in the sense that it takes time to get to that point. And so the thoughts triggered for me when you say, I need to put the right fuel in my body to get the energy for the day to do what I want to do. So that mindset, some might call it disciplined, some might call it driven, some might call it, I don't know, all sorts of things. Is that something that you've really worked on? Has it grown over time? Because I know earlier in your career, and you sort of alluded to it before, you had some really tougher times. Like, how have you got to this place of this mindset, which is, that's what I want, this is what I need to do, I'm going to do it?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and I think you only learn what works for you over time. And experimenting with different things. And I think the biggest one for me has been making sure I surround myself with the right people, people that are supportive, that inspire you, that motivate you, that are your biggest sponsors or your biggest supporters. And that's been key. But I think it's trial and error a little bit until you find something that works for you, because everyone is so individualised and needs something that's personal for them. But you need to work out your why and your purpose. And I've been lucky enough to realise what that is. And but it didn't just happen overnight. Like I've been through other jobs and other roles, and I guess the turning point I knew was when I was waking up and I was almost dreading going to work in the media. And I remember calling Dad, and I was like, Dad, I'm not feeling it. I don't want to wake up in the morning and go and do this. And he said, a career it's a bloody long time, and you need to be happy. You need to be passionate about what you do and motivated to get up there and get excited. And if you don't, then it's time to move on, because being in that state is going to have a real impact on you. And it's going to not just impact you, but it's going to impact the people that you love and other people that you work with. And it's that, my favourite quote without doubt is attitudes are contagious. Is yours worth catching?
Love it.
So we know that when we're around those positive people, we get lifted. We come to that level. But when we're constantly around people that have that negative attitude, or what do we call them sometimes, Debbie Downers, or whatever you want to call it, we get sucked into that energy, and it has a real impact. And so if you can go with that right attitude, that positive attitude around what you do, and share the love, and people ride off that, and people rise to that, and it's so important to come with that open mindset, that growth mindset, and to say, this is why I do what I do, and this is why I love it, and my purpose is to do that. And I think I've found that, which is exciting for me. But it's trial and error to find that, and it's different for every single person.
I love that. I love that idea, all of those ideas so much. One of the things that I really struggled with at various points in my career, though, was knowing that there were some of those people that were around that were really sucking energy and weren't pushing me up and were trying to hold me back. How have you gone about, or have you had to go about, writing off certain people that have been around for a long time but just weren't helping you get to it? Can you reflect on that as an idea?
Yeah, I think as I'll keep going back to it, those surrounding your people, your people is so key. And I think we all have had that, where I don't know, it could be as simple as they don't understand why you're doing what you're doing. They don't want to support you, or they question you of why you're doing it. Like when you're starting out a startup or a business, and it's initially just an idea.
Yeah.
And if those people are going, oh no, that's not going to work, or that's stupid, why would you do that? Why would you take that risk? Or they're the people that you're like, I thought you were my mate, or I thought you that you'd support me. And being around those, they can suck you down and bring you down. But it's at some stage it's going to be that courageous conversation, or that big decision to say, you know what, you aren't building me up. You're not that positive attitude that I want, or that positive person that I know I can turn to. It's time to almost break up in a way, isn't it? So finding those people is so important.
So what's your advice? Because there will be people who have had a mate forever, and you don't forget who you are, and you don't forget where you came from, and we've been mates forever. What's your advice to the person who knows they've got one or two people? You might have heard me talk about, my dad used to tell me, if you're going to soar with the eagles, you can't hang around with the turkeys, right? So you've got these turkeys in your life who have been turkeys with you for a long, long time. What's your advice to the people who've got those people in their life? They know that they need to get rid of them. How do they do it?
It's hard. It's really hard, and it does take that courage, and that understand that you need to do it for yourself. At some stage, you're going to have to put yourself first, and you can't continuously, not look after yourself, because it's going to have an effect on you and your state. So these courageous conversations, I think humans, we don't love conflict. We're conflict adverse. So these conversations are really hard, but they need to be had, and it's almost just trying to find out the why. Yeah. Why are you like this? Why aren't you? What's stopping you from supporting me? Why don't you want to believe in what I'm believing in here? So I think encourage people, as hard as it may be, to have those conversations, to say, at the moment, you're not backing me. You're not doing what I feel is what a supportive person would do in my life. Why? What is it? And if they can't answer that, and they continue to be like that, I think, you have to slowly probably spend less time with those people, because you just can't do that to yourself.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I've probably been a little bit more brutal in my advice before, of if you know that, just write them off. But I think
I think you've got to give them a chance.
Yeah, absolutely.
And understand them, and and lead with a bit of empathy and say, well, why are you doing this to me? Why aren't you building me up? Is there something that I can do to change that will, allow you to come on my side and let's work together?
Yeah.
But, there is the opportunity just to cut straight there, but, that is also really hard.
Yeah.
So if you give them at least the opportunity to express themselves and maybe share that, then, and if they can't do that, then maybe it is that. See you later.
I love having conversations like this because, I read this article one day. The headline was "Less mates, more friends" was the headline, and I thought it was quite an interesting thing because, the people that you go and you have a beer with at the pub, or there's 20 of you in a room, you're all doing stuff, and you just don't get a chance to have these deeper conversations. But inevitably, when you find the chance to ask people about it, people are having these deeper conversations all the time, and so it's actually, some people are watching this thinking, I can't have that chat. That's like I'm not one of those people. But it's like it's a very normal, everyday thing to do, and everybody's having it. You just got to sort of build up your confidence and your willingness to start to have more of them.
Yeah, I think there's nothing better for the soul than to have some of those deeper connections and build that trust and that network and support. And I love when I see someone that is so authentic and so passionate about something. Like that, to me, lights up my soul.
Yeah.
And I know you can just see them glowing. And there's nothing better than having that actual going a bit deeper and actually getting to their why or their purpose and getting them to express it. Like it's so amazing to see someone light up and talk passionately about something and understand them.
Yeah.
And what drives them. I think it's such a cool thing that you can do.
Amazing. Mate, I could talk to you honestly for hours about this, but we're not going to. You're a busy man. You got a wedding to get ready for.
Got a wedding to get ready
4 days of programs next week. It's all happening. So, mate, thank you so much.
Pleasure. No, thank you very much.
It was
Look
great.
forward to connecting with anyone.
Yeah. So we'll put some details. I don't know where we're going to put them, in the comments and the links in the whatever. Brandon behind the camera, he can figure all of that out. That was Jum. Check out Jumpstart Communications. Check out Fusion Graduate Consultancy. It takes me. I've got to practice that.
You did well that time. We're there.
And we'll see you next time. Thanks a lot. Thank you, mate.